Well, hello everyone. I am so happy to be again with you. Connecting with our Live Without Limits community and tribe. And I want to welcome my dear friend and colleague, Makisher Whetstone. You look absolutely fantastic and radiant this afternoon. How are you doing, Makisher?
I am doing great, and thank you for the compliment. And I love the pink and gray you have on, Alejandro. That's one of my favorite color combinations: pink with gray and lavender with gray. So I love it. Yes.
Oh my goodness! I tell you, I didn't get the memo, but thank you very much. I just combined the colors today, so
Yes,
so we are heading in
right.
the right direction.
We are. And we are going to continue heading in the right direction as we talk about live without limits today. So I'm so excited that we are about to have another session where we can talk to, like you said, our tribe, our followers, our audience, and let them know what's going on with us with Live Without Limits. So, what do you have for us today? What are we going to chat about, Alejandro?
Well, if you were with, not you, but I'm talking about our listeners and our audience. If you were live with us last week or you got the recording later on, then you know that we talked about one of the laws on the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth book by our mentor, John Maxwell. And today, or during the week, as I talked with Makisher, then says, well, what are we going to share today? And of all the topics, that we're going around our minds and hearts, there's another law from the same book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, which we thought that it would be a great follow-up to the law of intentionality. And we are going to be talking and sharing today about the law of consistency. The law of consistency. And just very succinctly, what the law of consistency states is that motivation gets you going. Motivation gets you going, but discipline, and that's the key word, discipline, keeps you growing. So motivation gets you going, discipline keeps you and maintains you on a growth path. So what do you think about consistency? How has consistency played a role in your life, Makisher?
Alejandro, this is one of the areas where I am still growing because there are certain things I will stay consistent from beginning to end. And then there are other things I will start, I'll do a little bit, fall off, start a little bit, fall off. So it kind of depends upon what it is to me. And I think it goes to our why. Why are we doing something? Do we understand why we need to accomplish it? Because a lot of times if we can determine the why,
Mm.
behind our actions, that goal, a lot of times it makes it so much easier to be consistent. But if you don't know your why or you don't have a
Yeah.
why, it is so much easier to kind of just fall off the wagon, kind of like with working out or eating right, being disciplined in those areas. And that's something you and I were talking about earlier, working out. And that is definitely one of the areas where a lot of people, they set it as a New Year's resolution. However, they fall off. They don't stay consistent with it. And you have to have a strong enough why to create that discipline so you can remain consistent to achieve the goals you want to achieve. So it's one of the things I continue to strive to do because there are certain
Yeah.
areas where I need to be more consistent. But one thing I know, consistency to keep success. And if you do not have consistency, you are absolutely going to tread water in a whole lot of areas of your life because you cannot move forward as successfully as you could or will unless you have discipline and consistency. Consistency is the key to success. And any successful person will tell you
Yeah.
they have to do something. They had to do something over and over and over again, and they had to remain consistent in order for them to see the.
Yeah, I truly I agree 100% with what you said. There's so much that we can say and want to say and want to share with our listeners about consistency, because when it comes to a successful journey in life, there are many factors that you have to pay attention to in order for that success to get realized in your life or in a person's
Yes.
life. But consistency, in my opinion, it has to be right up there at the top of all those factors, because if there's no consistency, then of course, and there is a quote that I want to share, because
Okay.
I want to see your. It comes from Jim Tressel, and Jim Tressel says the hallmark of excellence, the test of greatness, is consistency. You see, the hallmark of excellence, if you want to be excellent in whatever area you decide to be excellent. I mean, it could be finances, it could be engineering, it could be being a mom at home, being a father, whatever it may be. If you want to achieve excellence and not just mediocrity,
Yes.
if you want greatness in your life, then nothing can take the place of daily consistency. Do you agree
You're,
with that?
I totally agree with that. It Going back to what you and I were talking about before about getting up and exercising on the front end of my day versus breaking up my morning. I know I can say a little bit more consistent doing it at the time I do it, which is why I choose to do it, because it's a little easier for me. But being disciplined to get up and be to the gym by 5:30 and remain consistent, that requires something different of me. But that is what success requires. It requires us to do something different, do something that may be uncomfortable for a while, and get us out of our comfort zone quite often, because success typically does not come by us doing things that come easy to us. We typically see results by us being disciplined and consistent on a regular basis, and then we start to see the results.
That's
So
right.
we can't always do what is comfortable and what is easy. We have to do what is required, whether we want to do it or not. We still have to do what is required and be consistent with that discipline, so we can achieve the goals and the success we want to achieve. So that is so important, Alejandro.
Excellent. And just before I totally agree with that, but I want to give a shout out to Brian. Brian, thank you very much. I mean, for being with us and for listening. I mean, Brian is another colleague and a fellow speaker, coach, and trainer with the John Maxwell team. And so thank you very much. I mean, it's I hope that you're doing fantastic. I know that you are. But yes, consistency is that part. And what you said, sometimes being consistent is not an easy thing to do. It requires a lot of effort. It
Yes.
requires a lot of determination on our part. It requires us to do things that may not be simple. But success in life doesn't come by doing the easy things and the simple things.
It does not.
No,
No.
it requires that we have to, and that's sometimes developing a new habit or replacing a habit that is not suiting us or is not benefiting us, it takes a part of us. But we have to be willing to let go of certain things and then take on something else that in the short or long term is going to bring us the fruits and the benefits that we have. Let me share this. It says, small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time. And why is it, Makisher, that most people, when they don't see results immediately,
yes,
they just, instead of being consistent and keep on doing it until they see results, they just throw in the towel, they give up, and they quit.
They totally abandon mission, so to speak. You are so right. And it's because we live in a microwave society. We're impatient. We want everything right now, and we expect to have everything immediate. But that's not how life works. That's not how success works. Success requires consistency, discipline, doing it over and over. And you can achieve the level of success you want as long as you do those things. But you have to understand that there are going to be peaks and valleys along the way. And you also have to understand that there are going to be times when emotionally you're going to feel like giving up, because it can be frustrating while you're on that journey. But you can't. You have to stick to the course. It's the only way any of us will see the success we want to see. We have to stick to the journey. We can't abandon it. Can you imagine if a professional football player, or basketball player, or an astronaut decided they're going to abort midstream while they're playing in a game, or they are taking off to go into space? Well, that wouldn't work. That you can't do that. You have to see the mission through. You have to see your course through. You have to see your goals through to the end, because you don't know what the end will be and how much success you can have if you give up, because that's basically what you're doing when you abandon the course. You're giving up, and you can't give up just because it gets tough. I am challenged with that some days where I'm like, this is tough today, or I can't believe I'm not seeing the results I'm seeing. But don't give up, Alejandro. Quitting is not an option.
No.
Being more consistent is what I have to be in certain areas. Sure. But giving, that is not an option. That's not part of my vocabulary. We just can't.
No. And I really loved the illustration, the example that you just gave. As you were talking about that, my wheels were turning. And can you imagine being in a football game, okay? And this guy gets a pass, gets the ball, and he has to run, let's say, 30 yards or 40 yards or whatever it is for a touchdown. And can you imagine that it goes only 15 yards and he stops, and because it just, I don't know, I mean, it just got a little bit tired or something and whatever. And so instead of just going the other extra 15 yards to the touchdown, it just stops there. What do you think is going to happen to him? I mean, he's not going to be very well received by the rest of the team. Is that right? Or an astronaut that is going halfway from Earth to the moon and he decides, we're just going to abort the mission, right? I mean, it's ludicrous to think that they are not going to stay with the mission until the mission is finally and totally completed.
Yes. Yep. You have to see it through. Too many people give up too soon. It is the way we live in America. If it doesn't happen when we want it to happen, we will, it's not working. It's not so much that it's not working. What systems do you have in place?
That's right.
And what disciplines do you have in place to make sure it does work. I am not stating that there are times when we have to course correct, because we do. There are times when on a mission, you have to say, okay, do I need to correct some things here? Do I need to tweak some things so I can see the level of success I want? Because sometimes you have to evaluate as you're going along. It's just like going back to the analogy of football. Sometimes the coaches have to switch plays based on how the opponent is playing as well, and depend upon what the game is looking like. It's just the same thing with us. There are times when we have to go back to the drawing board and we have to come up with a different plan, but we're not giving up. We are simply reevaluating the situation as it is, and then we determine, okay, this is where I need to make a few tweaks here, and I'm still on my path of success. But we want to give up too soon, and we can't if we want to be successful.
No, definitely. There's talking about quitting. Vince, I think author Vince Lombardi says, once you learn to quit, it becomes a habit.
Habit. It sure does.
And what a dangerous thing that is. You know, developing habits, it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. It depends on which habit you are developing. Because it says, if you develop the habit of quitting, and every time that you start something, let's say that you start a project, and halfway through the project becomes very complex and difficult. Rather than you saying, okay, well, I'm going to exercise my creativity, or I'm going to ask for help, or I'm going to use resources in order to see this difficulty and keep moving forward, then the easy pathway is, it's too difficult, forget about it, let's start something new. Yep. If you keep quitting, and that becomes ingrained in you, and then the only option that you have is, well, I'm just going to forget about it and don't think about this thing, just move on to the next thing. Yep. Then you will never achieve anything in your life. It's I think consistency, in my book, consistency makes a person much more productive. If you want to be productive, you have to be consistent.
Yes,
if there is no consistency, there cannot be any productivity. And that's why some people, sometimes it's funny because I gave a presentation, I guess perhaps a year ago, and as part of that, I was talking about the fact that this generation that we are living in, I can equate it as a microwavable kind of a generation. Because it's what happens. You just stick something in a microwave, you heat 10 seconds, you warm it up, you can eat it. Now, is that thing is going to taste good? No, it's just going to taste, okay for the moment. But if you really want to enjoy a real good, perhaps Christmas feast or a Thanksgiving feast, that's not a microwavable kind of a dinner. It requires a lot of preparation, and it requires a lot of cooking time. But the result is so much better, isn't it?
It is a whole lot better. And when you utilize even that illustration, Alejandro, it takes time to prepare a Thanksgiving or Christmas meal.
That's right.
It is not something where you can go into the kitchen and you're done in an hour. Sometimes people start prepping days before, and it takes hours to cook the feast you want to have on those particular days. So it's the same thought process. You have to plan, you have to prepare, you have to have actionable steps, and you have to be consistent and carry it out so you can get to the finish line. But we'll never get there if we start something and we stop.
Yeah.
or if we say, oh, this is so difficult, I don't want to do this anymore, and we have those negative tapes playing in our head, that will also impact our ability to be consistent.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure we are doing the things that are required for us to have self improvement and
Yeah.
work on those habits, like you said, those habits that aren't so great. We want to replace those with the habits we need for us to be successful. That is extremely important.
Yes. And it says here that, of course, it is very difficult to remain engaged in anything if you have not found a way to value and appreciate the process. You see, the process, what is going to help anybody, you, me, and anybody who's listening right now, to become more consistent in what you're doing on a daily basis is loving the process of doing it. If you really, it really makes sense, because if you hate something, you will find it almost impossible to be consistent in doing something that you hate. That's
Yes,
what,
something
yeah,
you don't like to do.
that's exactly right. So, in order to enhance the consistency and to improve on your consistency, try to do things that you enjoy the process of doing it. And so let's say if you enjoy being a speaker or being a coach or being a trainer, if you not only enjoy being in front of the audience, delivering a presentation and speaking, but you also enjoy the preparation of the presentation, the research that goes on in preparing a keynote speech, or to prepare a workshop. As a matter of fact, talking about workshops, Makisha, for all of you who are listening right now, I want to remind you that on Saturday, May 2nd, Makisha and myself, we are doing a workshop. Is called Live Without Limits. I mean, just to keep the the subject and the branding, okay? But it's not that we love just to be in front of the participants delivering the workshop. But I think that what makes us consistent in what we're doing is that we truly love the process of putting the workshop together. I mean, taking it from just a thought and an idea into a final product. And so that is what gives us the consistency on a daily basis to work through it and to get it done. It's not just the final product that we're excited about, and we are truly excited about that, but we are also excited every day to do the research and to do the work that is required in order to get it done. Is that right, Makisha?
Yes, because this is what I can do 6 or 7 days a week. I love the speaking, the coaching, the working with clients, the teaching and workshops. I love that. And I love the whole process of getting there, because it is exciting, because one, I self-discover some things about myself. And two, when I find exciting information, I am just ready to share it with everyone. So it does lend, when you're doing things you enjoy, it lends itself to ease in the process. It lends itself to likability in the process. But when you feel like you're fighting upstream to do something, it makes it challenging for someone to remain consistent and to do an awesome job at it. That's right. Because it feels like it's a chore. Whereas with you and I, we love what we do and we enjoy the process. So it makes it so much easier. And before we realize it, hours and hours could have gone by And you and I have been on the phone talking about this or that. We're working on this or that individually and collectively. And that is what happens when you enjoy the process. So I'm excited about the work we're doing leading up to May 2nd for Live Without Limits. And we want all of you out there to go and register today for our workshop. Alejandra and I are so excited about it. It's going to be here in Norcross, Georgia, just outside of the Atlanta area. So we're asking you to go to our Live Without Limits page or Eventbrite, and you can register today and invite someone with you. Invite someone along with you, because we're going to have a great time talking about some of those things that actually hold us back, which is why our motto is Live Without Limits. We're going to help you work through those things that prevent you from living without limits.
Excellent. Yes, and the well, you see, if you are with us, I mean, you see the energy that is in the room, and this workshop is going to be very informative, but not so much informative, but it's going to be engaging, because we want to engage with the participants. I mean, we are all in a process of growing and growth. I mean, I tell you, I have not gotten to where, there have been a few peaks that I have gotten to, but it doesn't mean that I'm looking always to a higher peak that I can get to, a higher peak, more challenging, and where when you are at the top of that peak, the views are absolutely awesome, outstanding. And so the way, and we want you, when you are sitting on that workshop, we want you to reach, and we are going to help you to reach your highest peak. We are going to deal with areas that are limiting areas in your life. I mean, we are going to help you build your self-confidence. We are going to help you for you to see if there are toxic relationships or associations in your life that prevent you from reaching your next level. You see, it matters. It truly matters who are the people you spend time with, because people, associations can either take you to the moon and have you seen the stars, or they can bring you down to eat with worms. I mean, do you want to eat with worms, or do you want to be among the stars? And that's what relationships can do for you. So go to the page, go to Eventbrite. I don't want anybody to feel regretful that they said, oh, I cannot get any more tickets. All the tickets are gone. Well, I told you, go today. Is not tomorrow, is today, because as John Maxwell says, today counts. Today matters. And because it matters, go and register for the workshop. We would love to see you face to face there. It's going to be a privilege and an honor to work and to offer and facilitate this workshop for you.
Yes, and we are excited about it. So make sure you share it on your social media pages as well, because Alejandra and I have some awesome things planned. And as he stated, it's going to be interactive and engaging. I'm looking forward to it, especially one of the exercises I will be working on. So we are excited. Just go ahead and go to Eventbrite now, because it is limited seating. We do not have a lot of seats. So it's so important for you to go ahead and not wait to the last minute to get your tickets. So go to Eventbrite right now, type in Live Without Limits, or you can click on the link on our Live Without Limits Facebook page, and you can go ahead and purchase your ticket today.
So I think that I tell you one thing. I mean, when Makisha and myself, I mean, we start talking and sharing and sharing content. The problem is not starting. The problem is finishing.
Yeah.
As you would notice. But I guess it's been great. I mean, to have and just wait until next Thursday. Okay, now next Thursday we'll probably go back to our regular time of 7 p.m. I mean, this was a special thing because we could not do it at 7, so we are doing it at 12:30, 1 o'clock p.m. But and if in the future a change occurs in the time, I will go perhaps the day before, and I would let you know so you don't miss the episodes, and you won't miss it because if you're not here live with us, you are going to always, I mean, to get it later on as the recording. Okay, but Makisha, what I want to say is, again, for our audience today, our topic about the law of consistency states that motivation gets you going, and it's good to be motivated. Okay, motivation is the first step, but is not the whole step.
Nope.
Motivation gets you going. Discipline and consistency keeps you growing. And not only you have to be going somewhere, but you have to be growing
in the process.
In the process.
Yep, absolutely.
And
it is essential.
Yes, and that is the key. I hope that we were able, I mean, to add value to your life. I mean, this is what our desire and our passion is to bring content that is going to be influential and impactful in your life, because we want you to reach a point of becoming the very best version of yourself.
Absolutely.
And you see what Les Brown, in all his presentations, without fail, I mean, he says, remember one thing, remember that there is greatness within you. And I want to say to you that there is greatness in all of us. And Makisha and myself, we want to be agents of transformation in your life, so you can bring that greatness and that potential out and show up in the world to really make an impactful difference every single day. Any final words with you, Makisha?
Nope, I am just glad we had an opportunity to talk about consistency today, because it is so key to so many of us having success. Without consistency and discipline, it is extremely challenging to have a successful career, marriage, achieve your goals, whether it's working out, whether it's weight loss, whatever it is for you. It requires you to have discipline and to be consistent. So I'm glad we had an opportunity to talk about that today, and to also remind everyone to go ahead and register for the workshop.
Yes, excellent. Well, Makisha, thank you very much. It's always, as I love to connect with our listeners and to our Facebook community and tribe, it is also my deepest delight, I mean, to do it with you alongside, because you bring that incredible energy and that beautiful smile. So I could not do this without you being present. So thank you so very much.
And thank you, Alejandro, because like you said, we always have to figure out how to end because you and I, we have so much fun together. We just go on and on and on.
That's right.
So that is an awesome thing because we genuinely like each other and we enjoy working together.
That's right.
So I wouldn't be able to do it without you either. So thank you so much for working with me for us to make all of this come true, to make it happen for our tribe, our audience. So I'm excited about what we're doing.
Well, thank you very much. And to all of you who have been with us, or the ones who are going to be with us, let me end this broadcast by reminding you to always live without limits. Thank you very much.